The store was almost empty that night. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting a pale glow across aisles of cereal boxes and canned goods. Daniel Hartman, a wealthy CFO of one of the city's largest firms, stood in line with nothing more than a bottle of water and a frozen meal. Out into anyone looking, he seemed like just another man grabbing a quick dinner on his way home. But inside, Daniel carried a loneliness that wealth and success could never mend. His high-rise apartment was spacious, luxurious, and unbearably quiet. His days were full of meetings, numbers, and deals, but his nights echoed with silence. That's when he noticed her.
Oh.
In front of him, a young woman stood clutching a small box of baby formula. Her clothes were worn but clean, her hair hastily tied back, as though life gave her little time for herself. A baby stirred in the stroller beside her, tiny fists rubbing against sleepy eyes. Daniel watched as she bit her lip, her hands trembling slightly as she opened her wallet. She pulled out a few crumpled bills, counted them, and then froze when the cashier announced the total. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I'm sorry, she whispered. I don't have enough. The cashier shifted uncomfortably. The line behind her grew impatient, sighs filling the silence. The young woman's eyes welled up, and with a shaky breath, she handed the box back. I'll return it, maybe next week. Daniel's chest tightened. He had seen countless deals collapse, employees beg for extensions, and clients plead for better terms. But nothing had struck him the way this simple moment did. A mother, unable to afford food for her child, could have looked away. He could have told himself it wasn't his problem, but something inside him broke free. Wait, Daniel said, stepping forward. She'll keep it. Add it to my bill. The woman spun around, her wide eyes filled with shock. No, you don't have to. I know, he interrupted gently, offering a small smile. But I want to. The cashier hesitated, then scanned the formula again. Daniel handed over his card without a thought. The young woman clutched the box to her chest, as though it were treasure, her lips trembling with gratitude. Thank you. I don't even know your name, Daniel, he said softly. Emily, she replied, almost in a whisper. That was the night everything began to change. Daniel couldn't forget Emily after that evening, found himself visiting that same store more often, hoping to catch another glimpse. Sometimes he saw her struggling to balance groceries and a restless baby. Other times, she wasn't there, and he'd feel an inexplicable disappointment. Finally, one day, fate intervened again. He saw her outside, waiting at a bus stop in the rain. Her stroller was covered with a thin blanket, barely shielding her baby. Without thinking, Daniel pulled over. Emily, he called, rolling down his window. She blinked in surprise. Daniel? You'll catch pneumonia out here. Let me give you a ride. She hesitated, her pride and caution warring against her exhaustion. Finally, she nodded. Only because of the baby. As they drove, she shared pieces of her life. She had been abandoned by her husband during her pregnancy. Her parents had passed away, leaving her to raise her son alone. She worked part-time at a diner, barely making enough to cover rent. Yet despite her hardships, she never complained. She smiled at her baby, spoke of dreams she still held on to, and carried herself with quiet strength.
Out, Daniel.
Listened to him, a way he hadn't in years. For the first time since his wife's passing 5 years ago, he felt a warmth that cracked through his loneliness. Over the next weeks, their paths intertwined. He'd stop by the diner where she worked, pretending to be just another customer. She'd serve him coffee with a shy smile, her baby sometimes napping in the back room. Slowly, trust grew. But with trust came challenges. One evening, Emily found out who Daniel truly was, a CFO of a multi-million-dollar company. Her smile faded, replaced with suspicion. So that's why you helped me? Some rich man pitying the poor single mom? Daniel's heart sank. No, Emily, I helped you because I couldn't stand by. Because you and your son matter, not your bank account. She looked away, torn between pride and the longing to believe him. I don't want to be someone's charity case, Daniel. I want to stand on my own 2 feet. And so he stepped back, gave her space, even though it ached to do so. Weeks passed. Emily worked harder than ever, but exhaustion consumed her. One night, she fainted at the diner. Daniel, who had been nearby, rushed her to the hospital. He sat by her bed as doctors explained it was malnutrition and stress. She woke, tears blurred her eyes. I can't do this alone, she whispered. Daniel took her hand gently. You don't have to. Let me stand beside you, not to rescue you, but to walk with you. Her walls crumbled. For the first time, she allowed herself to lean on someone else. Their bond deepened. Daniel began spending time with her son, little Noah, who quickly grew attached to him. Emily saw the way Daniel's eyes softened whenever Noah giggled, how he'd kneel down to play even after long days of work. She realized Daniel wasn't just lonely, he was healing too. But one last test awaited them. Daniel's colleagues discovered his connection with Emily. Whispers spread. Critics called her a gold digger, and board members questioned his judgment. The pressure was immense. Daniel stood in front of the board and spoke with conviction. You think love makes me weak? It's the opposite. Meeting Emily reminded me of why we work, why we build so families don't have to choose between food and dignity. If you can't respect that, then I don't belong here. Silence fell. Some resigned, others supported him. Daniel didn't care. For the first time, he was free of the chains of appearances. Months later, in a quiet park, Daniel knelt down, not in a suit or with grand gestures, but simply, humbly holding a small ring. Emily's hands flew to her mouth as Noah clapped excitedly. Emily, you and Noah are the family I didn't know I was searching for. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, yes. Their story became more than just a chance encounter at a grocery store. It became proof that kindness could bloom into love, that loneliness could transform into family, and that sometimes the smallest act, buying a box of formula, could change everything. And for Daniel, the once lonely CFO, home was no longer a silent penthouse, but the laughter of a child and the love of a woman who had taught him the true meaning of wealth.